sponsors, and myself, Ryan. She will be along very soon, I presume. Let me just put the tweet out to say it's live. 1 second. Oh, I can see you there. So let me add you whilst I do the tweet. 1 second, Angie. Invite co-host. There we go. Hopefully that's winging its way over the Atlantic. And it's live. Hello.
Good Friday morning.
Good Friday morning to you. Good afternoon,
Right?
even from where I am. But yes,
Right?
afternoon,
Yeah.
evening, morning, wherever we're international, baby.
It's Friday, no matter where you're at, though. So we'll
This is
take
this
that,
is very
right?
true. This is
So
very true.
happy Friday to everyone who is listening. But there are a lot of farmers on too. So like a lot of them, like I always say, happy Friday to those who observe. Simply because even not farmers, folks who work on the weekend. I like
Exactly
to
that.
take their feelings into consideration as well.
And this is
So.
it. Exactly that. What has been happening, my love?
Oh, golly. Well, what hasn't been happening at this point, right? I'd say the biggest focus today, obviously, is going to be this rollback in Argentina export taxes. And it was super funny because we do a peer group call on Thursday afternoons, and our friend Nick had joined in and was
We love
talking
Nick.
about Argentina. Yes, we do. Talking about Argentina and what was happening there. And I literally asked him, I said, do you think we see a rollback in export taxes this year? And he's like, no, we're really kind of tight in this. We're going to need to see some financing, yada, yada, yada. Literally less than 30 minutes later, the press conference was announced, and they announced they were going to be rolling back these export taxes. So kind of funny how that works, and tells you no matter what you know in the industry or what you think you know, sometimes you're surprised by it. But so that was the initial knee-jerk sort of reaction that we saw overnight. You saw a big sell-off in
Can I,
soybeans. Soybeans will see the biggest
sorry, can I just
impact.
can I
Yes.
ask a quick question on this?
Yeah, of course.
Is there a reason? Well, potentially, it's one of the reasons why Argentina have done this because they're seeing, what the news that you mentioned yesterday regarding the certain exports to China from Brazil are being curtailed because of the fears, the quality concerns. Obviously, they also know that China might be looking to buy from the US to keep Trump happy. So, by dropping the tax, is this potentially a way where they can make the Argentinian government dropping the tax? Is this potentially a way for them? They're almost kind of hoping that this makes the Argentinian farmer and exporter more competitive in the market. Try and pick up maybe some of the Brazil flow, and also make them more appealing, even though China are going to be trying to buy from the US where possible.
I think that's a part of it. I think what they're really doing in this instance right now is they need cash flow. Let's say we need
Yeah,
some money. We need some incoming cash. They've gotten the deal with the IMF. It looks like maybe some other financing that they've been working on, but they really need to kind of raise the amount of money that they have on hand, and they need to encourage farmer selling. So one of the
right.
things that happens with farmers when you start to have any type of production issue is they automatically imagine that they're not going to have a crop next year. And you can argue that it's not necessarily the way it's going to be, or whatever, but suddenly you pull your arms and legs inside the vehicle, and you stop making aggressive selling
Yeah,
decisions in a lot of ways as well. And so the government needs these funds. The government wants to be competitive, and the government needs to encourage the farmer to sell. And the best way to do that at this point, this is kind of like the conservative version of, so last year they had the soy and the corn dollar, where they would go ahead and they would kind of incentivize the selling of soybeans and corn off
yeah,
the farm via this, well, it was a different currency exchange rate that they would receive. Then it gave them a premium, and it gave them some extra cash in hand. And so this move here to reduce the export sales tax through June, because it is a temporary thing here for the next 5 months ahead of new crop harvest, it is seen as kind of the conservative version, right? So conservatives love tax breaks, liberals
yeah.
love tax credits. This is seen as the conservative version. Both are the same thing, just on different wings on a bird or whatever. But so this is thought that 80 cents for soybeans basically is what the Argentinian farmer is going to receive, 80 cents more with the reduction. And so there is a thought that you could see a push of soybeans into the market, soybeans
Yeah.
into the pipeline. That'll increase meal availability. That'll kind of increase this competition into China, yada, yada, yada. And so that's the thought right now. The biggest impact is on soybeans. Like I said, it's 80 cents per bushel on beans. It's about 15 to 16 cents a bushel on corn and wheat. So it's something, but it's not a huge
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And the overall on-farm, amount of bushels left that are thought to be available to work their way into the market structure is about 9 million metric tons of corn. So just quick math there, about 358 million bushels, and thought to have around 12 million metric tons of soybeans. So around 441 million bushels of soybeans. The soybeans is huge, obviously, but also important in Argentina is like you're probably only going to see a small increase in like available export of whole beans potentially, because they do like to do the processing in country, and they do have a lot of capacity that's left to be able to come online here as the economic outlook improves.
Right.
So it's
Got
point
you.
one. Like,
Got you.
and you
Got you.
gotta
Got
love
you.
it because it's almost the opposite. Like we've been talking about all of these uncertainties and these worries about what's going on in Brazil economically and with their currency and with their outlook, which you are seeing their 10-year rise again pretty sharply, at least from what I've seen. And so we've been talking about sort of these negative impacts in Brazil, and we're looking at almost the opposite in Argentina, where things are really on the up and up. But there are some other issues. Like I had someone talk about a bankruptcy recently. Like you had a lot of currency float trade going on and different things like that has since been limited. And so Argentina is going to be a place to watch. Lots of room for expansion, but it's not as much a 3 or 6 month sort of thing as it could be a 3 or 6 year sort of thing that we'd be talking about.
Got you.
Point two is similar to Argentina, obviously, or it's right on piggyback. You can't really talk about what's going on in the market structure currently without talking about South American weather. It does appear as though the outlook there should start to stabilize. There are some concerns that we could see some lack of rainfall in the central portions of the production area for Argentina. We did see Buenos Aires Grain Exchange lower their estimate yesterday of what they think we'll see for corn and soybeans. Both a couple million metric tons, around 70, 80 million bushels lower than the current USDA estimates. And something to continue to watch. I think, and that's part of why you've seen, like I said, this increase or this rollback in export taxes is there is a worry that we're going to have less in the way of production. And so the farmer is, going to be more conservative in their selling until they feel more confident in that outlook. And so it will be something to watch. It does appear like we'll see a decent amount of rain, or at least a good chance of rain here for the next 7 days across parts of Argentina, across a good portion of it. And then the forecast kind of diverges a little bit. The Euro and the GFS aren't really sure if they want to agree or not. And so that'll be something to watch. Central and northern Brazil, we are seeing harvest progress kind of pick up here as they have dried out. Some areas will see a continuation of heavy rainfall, though, as we work into next week. So you could hear more about damage. You could hear more about delays in grain moving into the pipeline and things like that. But for the most part, I think we're going to start to see that these weather issues in South America are going to be handled more in the regional values or with basis adjustments and things like that. We are going to be watching, obviously, for more news out of what's going on with Brazil and China. There's talk we could see some additional companies added to the restricted list, but then there's
Yeah.
also talk that we won't. Like they just, it's not going to matter. And so flip a coin on that one. And then the last point that we have here is Trump and trade. He did mention on Fox News last night that he thinks he'll be able to get a trade deal put together with China over the next week, and that they won't have to put the tariffs on. And so I think if we wouldn't have had the Argentina news, soybeans may have tried to trade a little higher overnight, but obviously, the idea that we could see a nice push of a couple 100 million bushels of soybeans into the world pipeline that we weren't necessarily anticipating, which is the sentiment that you're going to get, from that Argentina announcement here in the short term. I think that's something to watch. Also, kind of Trump and trade. Or is it Trump and trade, or is it just economics? And I think
Yeah.
it'll be something you'll hear about. Is Mexico is rumored to be shopping for both Brazilian corn and soybeans. For corn, it's super important to point out that they're shopping basically for July, August offers. And I would say right now, if you were to ask any commercial in the US what it would take to buy July, August corn, you're looking at substantially well over what it's going to take for you to buy February or April. So to see them go to Brazil and look for some values, not surprising. Also to see them go to Brazil and look for some values on soybeans, not necessarily surprising. But for those who want to kind of bang the Trump trade war drum, they're probably going to point to that as a bearish signal.
Right.
To me, it's more economics and logistics, but I digress. So
No,
yeah, it's
I'm
about
with you.
it.
I'm with you.
So, and we are watching the dollar. That's basically retraced what half of its gains since the election. So that's interesting as well. More optimism about the euro or Europe. I guess I don't know which
You can
what
tell
I
it's
was going to
Friday.
say there. I think I had a glitch or something. I'm not sure, but some optimism on what's going on in Europe. Japan looks like they might be stabilizing. You know what I mean? Like from an overall standpoint, I think we've seen a little bit of a switch in sentiment potentially. So yeah, giddy up. We'll see what today brings.
Awesome. Well, firstly, before we do crack on with today, two shout outs. One for your good self. It's up in the Jumbotron or whatever it is the kids call the little thing up in the top of the Spaces events. But just a shout out to you and your awesome daily market coverage. That, you know, let's be honest, it's such value for money. You'd be insane not to take up the offer, especially as it's a 7-day free trial. Don't tell people that you accidentally forget to turn the free trials off. You did this
I
before.
wasn't gonna say it.
But no, guys, honestly, I'm assuming you all do already because you're all very smart people, obviously, because you listen to me and Ange. But definitely check out that. Also, shout out to our friends at CME. For those that aren't aware, CME are now bringing out, I believe it's going to be February the 10th, subject to the regulatory approval, some short-term options on agricultural products. So the idea behind this is they'll be basing off I think the corn's going to be based off of December futures, but it will be weekly options. Their idea behind this being that you can actually trade unique weather patterns or weather systems that are coming through and trade the options, the impact on that, and especially with the the USD WASDA reports and all that stuff. So quite an interesting little product that they're bringing out, and it's very much aimed at people like your good sales that are aiming at hedging and stuff like that. So one to keep an eye on. But that's I believe that's us done for the week.
I think so. Like I feel like this week's been really weird. We had like 3
Well,
snow
that's my
days to
fault
start.
potentially because
You were
I
we had the
was off.
holiday on Monday. I don't even know how it's Friday, honestly. I
Yeah,
am
right.
I'm
I'm sure I should be down the pub at this point, but I don't know what's happened. I'm still at home.
right.
But Angie, thank you so much as always, my darling. You're an absolute rock star. Listeners, thank you so much. I guess being most of you are farmers, please take care of the weekend. We do really appreciate all the hard work you do for us, so we can carry on eating, basically. But yeah, big shout out to all of our regular listeners as well, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys.
See ya. Bye.